You know, coming to LA from San Francisco, I lived in the Bay Area for 30 years. And when I moved down here 10 years ago, you can't have a business like this and not be approached by production companies. I mean, we would get probably 12 to 15 production companies a year. And every single one of them I said no to, except for two. The first production company that approached me was a company that I opted to pass on because their contract was ridiculous. And then this wonderful production company from New Zealand that only does documentaries contacted me, and my ears perked up because I felt like we couldn't do a reality show. We needed to do something that was more documentary style. And although LA Frock Stars is classified a reality show, it is documentary style. It's not scripted, and what they presented to me was exactly what I had hoped for. So my hope was to spread the gospel of vintage on many planes. The first is it's green, and hopefully it teaches people to really appreciate what they have. Because although we don't repurpose clothes, I did an event like 3 or 4 years ago called Out of the Ordinary for Earth Day, and I gave 9 different designers either damaged or ugly pieces of clothing and had them repurpose it, because I wanted, and I showed the before and the afters online, and then we auctioned it off on eBay and gave the money to a green cause. Well, from Jeremy Scott, who is world-renowned, to local designers.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was something I had hoped to do every other year, but I lost my mojo because other things happened, and you know, it was a serious time commitment. It's like 6 months prepping. But yeah, so for me, spreading the gospel of vintage, and also from a sociological point of view, I was an anthropology major in college, my brief time in college, and clothing speaks history, and there's a story to almost everything that we put on our bodies, even the contemporary stuff, but more so the vintage pieces. And so I like to be in the store because I like to when someone responds to a piece, I like to say, well, did you know? And you see their faces light up, because understanding a little bit more of what you have in front of you really amplifies people's appreciation. I really had no agenda with doing LA Frock Stars on a business level, except knowing that it couldn't hurt my business, and also knowing that LA Frock Stars was sold internationally. First season was to BBC International, and it's on airplanes. It went to, I think, 14 different countries, and now Sky Vision is selling it internationally. I knew that it would help my branding in selling my business down the road. I love Smithsonian Channel because they took this project on knowing how old I am. I mean, you think of Hollywood and you think of television, you think of all these young, pretty women, and you know, I'm going to be 61 in March, and at the time we started shooting I was 58 or 59, and yeah, I mean, retirement is definitely something, you know, I work 12-hour days and I work 7 days a week, and my manager jokes and says that I have more energy than the 20-year-olds that work for me, and I'm proud that I have this vitality, but I do see a difference. The TV show was definitely a part of my exit strategy.
Okay.
Yeah. Generally speaking, season 1 has had not that much of an impact on the business. We get people that come in from literally all over the world wanting to see the store and to see the characters that were on the show. But it hasn't really translated into sales. They've just been people who love the history of fashion or enjoy the show.
Okay.
I will say that there was this one Chicago estate, which is in season 2, that did come to me because of the show.
Okay.
And so there will be revenues generated because of that. I will be going to Dunedin, New Zealand to be a guest judge for ID Dunedin Fashion Week, and that was a direct result of the show. But I am a firm believer that season 2 will amplify sales a bit, and season 3 is when it's really going to make a difference.
So there is a season 3?
There is not a season 3. There is no commitment at this point. There's no talks either. There's hopes. Well, you know, I think in every field, competition can be friendly, or it can be with jealousy and with ill feelings.
Okay.
You know, I feel blessed because I believe in abundance, and I believe, you know, it's just the way I am. And I'm happy when other people do well. Communication with other businesses has been mixed. I think most other vintage dealers have said thank you because it's elevated and it's raised the bar. It's not something that any one of us are embarrassed about. It's not a scripted show where we're demeaning or we say nasty things about other people. There's plenty of those types of shows on television. So I think in the long run, it's brought a lot of positive, good juju for those people that have watched the show and people in the industry. That process really depends on the designer. I mean, we have well-known designers that come in that just want to look through the store. You know, that's fine. I mean, it's easy for us. But then we have designers, like we had people from J. Crew in the other day, and they were looking for surface design, and they didn't give us any warning. So I don't like to take designers next door because it is such a mess. I mean, I say that with love, but imagine having 20 appointments over the course of 1 month, and each appointment we pull 300 or 400 pieces, and then keeping the ball rolling, we just basically take those pieces and take them next door. We don't have time to restock, to replace where they belong. So it looks like the bomb went off next door. I mean, the good news is we have this incredible business, and it just keeps happening. My preference is when designers send me their inspiration boards, their rigs. You know, they can send me verbal cues of what their inspiration is for the collection. And typically we ask at least a week's lead time. And with that, we can do like incredible pulls where we select things from the back that haven't come out yet, or things on the floor, things next door, things in my office. And it's wonderful, you know, working with designers and seeing their reactions to things and why they respond to a certain thing. I love working with designers. We work with local, smaller designers, up and coming. Like yesterday we had a design team, 2 women from Friends and Lovers, and that company is growing in leaps and bounds. And they were looking for prints, but they're coming back next week for shoes. All the great designers have come in here. I don't want to name specific names because some of the designers don't want people to know that they come here, and I respect that. But, you know, we get the design team in from Marc Jacobs, from Louis Vuitton, from Michael Kors, from Forever 21, from JCPenney. I mean, they all come in here, and across the board, it's rare that they're looking for the same thing. Well, you know, you think about, like, for example, Nikki Zimmerman, who's this wonderful Australian designer who's doing so well. She's getting ready to open 2 boutiques in California now. She was in a few days ago, and the last time she was in, she bought some surface design things that were actually blouse fronts from the 30s through the 70s.
Okay.
Now imagine buying the intricacy of manipulating piping and appliques and beading and stud work and all those great things. And being able to present that to your source that fabricates it. And instead of in a drawing, which it's not tangible, and then where he or she would have to fabricate it, send it to you, because usually those things are done overseas, and then that's a time factor. And then you say, no, 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 that's not the way I want it. Can you make the petals on the flower softer? Can you add, blah, blah. So it goes back overseas, and then it comes back. By the time it comes back to you, it could be 4 to 6 weeks. And how much money did that cost? So the design inspiration area is meant to be a shortcut. You have a hard copy.
Right.
Well, I will say that one of the things that I'm hoping for is that instead of designers coming to me as a resource for materials, my eye is so respected that they actually hire me as a consultant. So that's one of the things that I'm hoping for, and that's not something I've ever really communicated to anyone. Consulting jobs versus, where I can actually provide the product as well as consult, give opinions on, aesthetics, and like, this would be more modern if you did blah blah.
Okay.
Or this hasn't been done in such a long time. I really think the time has come to do it. I think that the consultation situation will happen because I'm putting it out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really have my finger on the pulse of the vintage fashion scene in Chicago. I would say that generally speaking, if I had a store there, I wouldn't succeed because I believe that it's either really, really cheap for the hip and young, so they're more treasure hunters, or the opposite end of the spectrum, wealthy women that dress very conservatively, Chanel, St. John, things like that. And that's not my world. I typically would go to Chicago twice a year, and my motivation would be the Leslie Hindman auctions. I have been really bad this past year, 2014, because of the taping of the show and my commitment of time and also family obligations. So, and I personally do not like to buy anything without having it in front of me. So eBay doesn't love me, Etsy doesn't love me. I don't spend money without having the material in hand. It's a visceral experience. So, but whenever I come to Chicago, I love Chicago. I mean, I love the architecture, I love the people, the spirit. I usually stay in the West Loop, but I love Lincoln Park, Wicker Park. I love the true neighborhood feeling that you get in the different areas. The restaurants are great. I mean, I could go on and on about Chicago. It's definitely, I would live there part-time when the weather's right.